plugged in. At the core of the Olweus Bullying Prevention Program is the Bullying Circle, which outlines the various roles that students play when encountered with a bullying situation. Dr. Moffett, let's talk about the Bullying Circle and the different roles, including the bully and the victim.
Okay, the Bullying Circle is a wonderful tool that Dr. Olweus designed in order to help people understand the different roles that are seen in a bullying situation. The roles, of course, include the role of the student being bullied, and the student being bullied can be in two categories: either a bully victim, someone who kids have learned they can poke in the back or do something and that kid will react, and the teacher will think that kid is the instigator. And other role that a victim has is being more of a submissive victim. This can be anybody that's targeted for any reason that is not likely to just really jump out of their skin when somebody does something. The role of the student doing the bullying, the student who does the bullying is doing it to gain power. Typically, it's someone who's got pretty good natural leadership skills, but they're using it in the wrong direction. So that's something to remember. They are looking for power, but by robbing other people of power. Then we've got other roles that support the bully role, and typically those kids are trying out bullying behavior, wondering if they'd like to do it. Then we have the disengaged onlooker. These kids are worried that they might be targeted next, but they just want to stay away. About a third of the kids are in the defender or possible defender. The possible defender wants to defend, doesn't know what to do. So all we have to do is teach them some strategies. And the person who's the defender is ready to step right out and either say to the kid doing the bullying, we don't want you to bully, or to say to the kid, come on, walk with me, let's go to the library.
But it all starts with the bully and the victim, and in this audience, I'm sure we've had some people who have felt like a bully or a victim. Who's had an experience where you felt like either a bully or a victim?
Yes, I have. And when I was in 6th grade, I wasn't the same size as everyone. I was much bigger, and I felt intimidated, but everyone's different, and they're all different shapes and sizes. We all bleed the same color. We're no different.
Okay, so we got a victim. How about a bully? Who's had experience of being a bully?
Well, when I was in 6th grade and 7th grade, my friends would make fun of this kid because of his appearance, and I joined my friends too. So I didn't know it was actually bullying because I didn't know what a bully was.
Well, let's talk about that. What are the overall causes of bullying?
Well, typically, in a school or other location, there could be a culture of bullying. In other words, if kids see a lot of bullying going on and they see that kids are getting respect for doing bullying behaviors, then they have more of a tendency to continue to do those bullying behaviors. Furthermore, they're looking for power. And they could look for power in lots of different ways and use lots of different things. Economic status, they can use peer power, they've got a lot of friends, they're popular, they can use that against other kids, they can tease kids about their clothing. There's just all kinds of ways in which kids bully. But it's very contagious.
What are some of the characteristics of students who are bullied?
Students who are bullied can be really anybody. Most people get bullied at some point in their life. But there are kids who are more likely to be bullied. Overweight, that came up, and that is one characteristic that kids sometimes do target. Sometimes it's kids who have a learning disability or something like that. Kids who are, who kids perceive to be gay, perhaps.
Yeah.
Maybe not, but they start teasing and using those words.
The overall effect of bullying on victims like all these kids that you just described is what?
It causes problems. If kids are already depressed, it's even worse. If kids are not depressed, they have a tendency to be able to overcome it. I'll tell you, the worst one is exclusion. When you exclude kids, it makes them feel worse than anything. When kids are excluded, over time, they tend to withdraw from participation in class, and it really does begin to impact their learning and test scores and grades.
Let me ask you this, how does it make you feel when you see somebody being bullied?
When I see somebody getting bullied, I feel upset and disappointed because I wonder why nobody's going to do anything about it, and I ask myself why I'm not going to do anything about it to help the victim.
Who's seen somebody being bullied and not done anything about it? And okay, so what have you seen? Why didn't you do anything about it?
Well, I remember once there was this clique that was bullying this one kid, and I remember wanting to do something, but the clique was so intimidating to me that I didn't want to interfere with anything that they were doing. And I felt that doing anything might not stop anything, and I just might end up being the victim of bullying.
Now, is this typical of some of the things that you've been hearing, Dr. Moffett? I mean, what you just heard, typical?
Oh, yes, it certainly is. And in fact, I'd like to introduce you to a colleague of mine who's here, another Olweus trainer in Virginia, Deborah Christian.
Yes, we find that students don't know what to do. They see the bullying going on, and they don't know what to do. And a big part of Olweus is to teach everybody in the school and then reach out to the community also, and to teach them what to do. So it takes the bystander over to be the defender.
Why would we be afraid to tell a teacher? Why would we be afraid to tell a teacher about bullying when we witness it?
The reason why most kids don't tell an adult is because parents or an adult will take defense or basically not know how to take defense. And most kids feel left out, or if there's a conflict between the bully and the victim, the bully would bring up that situation.
Okay, perfect. Why else? Why wouldn't we tell if we saw some bullying?
Well, some kids, they think that their parents will make it worse and may overreact. And some, they actually have people that they go to. Like, I have Miss Busta. She's my librarian. I tell her everything. But some kids, they think that if they tell, they'll be called, like, a snitch.
Ah, the S word, snitching. How many of us have heard that word? Let's talk about snitching and how prevalent that is now as part of this bullying culture.
Well, one of the things that we did was last year we took a school-wide survey where we looked at kids and the reasons why they would or would not respond to bullying as far as letting an adult know and who they would talk to. And one of the things that we found that was really critical was that relationships played a big part in who it was that they would communicate with and let know that they were being bullied. For instance, we had one grade level where overwhelmingly the guidance counselor was the person they wanted to talk to because there was a strong relationship there. Another grade level, teachers were an integral part outside of the classroom in helping those students, and so therefore they were much more apt to talk to their teachers about bullying. And that idea of whether or not there was going to be follow-through and confidentiality played a big role as it related back to the idea of being found out and being labeled as a snitch.
Let me introduce a new word, and this is new to bullying, cyberbullying. We know what this is, cyberbullying. And Dr. Moffett, obviously bullying is different today than it was years ago. This isn't a bus stop bully anymore. It's somebody behind a computer. Let's talk about how cyberbullying has affected this bully culture.
Well, we know that kids spend maybe 27 hours a week on internet, on social websites, on their cell phones, probably more than that. We know that, that kids are really enamored of the whole social networking scene, and the bottom line is it has opened up a new form of bullying that's anonymous. Most of the time, statistics show that kids have no idea who is sending them messages. And when they do know, the kids who are doing it do it because they can and because people don't necessarily know who they are. We know that kids need to learn how to protect themselves, that parents need to learn what they can do to protect their children. So we know that kids need to learn that they don't delete out messages, they share them with their parents. And so here's what I'd like to say to parents listening to this show. Parents, don't take technology away from your kids just because they report to you that they've been cyberbullied. Because that's the biggest deterrent from kids telling their parents is fear that the technology will be taken away.
It's so easy to bully when you're behind a computer, isn't it? Has anybody read anything about themselves or somebody else on the internet that wasn't true? Anything mean, damaging? Yeah.
Once somebody told me that a picture of mine online was like, it wasn't a good picture, and I didn't realize it was bullying at the time, but I told them that theirs was worse than mine, and I was confused because everybody else that before them had said that it was a really cool picture.
Is it easier to bully on the internet? Is it easier to write things about people that aren't true when you know, and why? Why is it easier?
Well, face-to-face combat can be scary, and a way kids vent is through online and talking about like every flaw that somebody has, and they know that nothing's going to happen. That's what they think.
Part of breaking this bully culture is, and this may be one of the most important parts, is the role of the bystander. And how do we change that role? So let's talk, Dr. Moffett, about the role of the bystander in bullying, why it's so important.
Well, bystanders far outnumber teachers and adults in the building. Bystanders, for the most part, at most times, are about 85% of the student body. So the kids really hold the power, but they don't know it. So that's one part of the class meeting of the Olweus program, is to empower bystanders. Class discussions about what kids can do are very important. You talked about the relationship between adults and kids. It's so critical. They have to know there's an adult who cares about them, and they know who that person is, and they feel comfortable going to that person. But we need to make sure that kids understand the difference between snitching and reporting. And we need to be able to set things up so that kids can report anonymously, knowing that what they've said to the teacher or other adult will not be divulged to any kid, that it will be shared with adults who will watch for the bullying happening and then stop it then, not go running over and try to do something at that point. Kids need to know that they're safe.
Well, you brought up the role of the teacher, so before we wrap up this segment, I want to talk to actual teachers right here. Is this become a part of your everyday life now where you have to be more approachable, you have to learn to talk? If you had to be educated on this as well as the kids?
You definitely have to build those relationships with the students. You definitely have to build up a support system, and they need to know that you're going to follow through and not just leave them hanging. It's very important.
When we return, using performance art as a tool for social justice. Learn more about this creative and innovative way to have real conversations about bullying. Stay with us. We'll be back with more Plugged In, Breaking the Bully Culture.